Today we are talking about what you can expect when you have surgery. Hi, I'm Jessica Ballant, a physical therapist and Pilates teacher, and I want to bring science-based knowledge, empathy, courage, support, love, and hopefully some fun to the journeys we have with our bodies. There is hope and strength in your body, and my goal is to help you find it. Welcome back to Meet Your Body, and I am sitting here on my 5th day since having my last surgery. I think 5th. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today's the 4th day. Today's the 4th full day since having surgery, and I just wanted to talk to you. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to you today. I'm sitting here on my heated red light PEMF mat to try to feel a little better. And believe it or not, I'm wishing I had a hot mug of tea. And if you know me at all, just know that if I crave tea, I'm probably not feeling very well because I like coffee, which I also had this morning. But like for me, if I'm craving tea, generally it's like I need something to feel cozy. I guess that's it. I'm not always not feeling well if I crave tea, but it just means mentally or physically, I need something to feel cozy. And I do like tea at night. But with some of my bladder stuff, I try not to have tea at night too much, late at night, because then I'll pee in the middle of the night. I'll pee too much. So right now I was thinking, a warm mug of tea sounds good. And that's how I know I'm a little tired. I'm a little wanting something cozy. But I want to do this podcast while all of this is fresh in my mind because we're talking today about what to expect from surgery. And I want to clarify that this is different than how to prepare for surgery. I have a podcast. It's probably one of the most important ones that I've done, one that I share, one of the most popular podcasts that I actually share with people. And it is about how to prepare for surgery. And that one is really important if you do have a surgery coming up. These go hand in hand, but that one is about how to actually prepare mentally, physically, and like very actionable tips about things you want to do to prepare yourself for surgery. So that's what that one is. And I will link that below in the show notes, in the description of this. I'll link that. This one is what to expect. And it's happening because I was laying there probably about an hour before my surgery Friday morning, laying there in the hospital bed, IV in, thinking like very specifically, I thought, thank goodness I know what to expect to make this just a little bit easier. And I'm a physical therapist. I work with so many clients pre-surgery and post-surgery. And a lot of what I do is really just prepping people for surgery. I commonly ask, is this your first major surgery? And many times they'll say yes. And I say, I want to back up then. We're not just going to talk about the specific surgery you're having. We're talking about surgery in general and what to expect from it. I'm very much an expectations person. Like that is just my personality. If you give me expectations, I do so well heading into a situation. Same with surgeries, anything. I just want to know a little bit about what to expect, about what might be coming. And so laying there with the IV in this situation that is uncomfortable and scary, a lot of words to describe that feeling. I want to give you an idea of literally just what to expect that day. And we're going to back up about a week before, but I'm giving you very step-by-step instructions, I guess, or information, really step-by-step information about what you can expect from surgery. Now, all surgeries are different, so I'm not getting into the specifics about, okay, you're having shoulder surgery, it's this. You're having a neck fusion, it's this. We're not talking about that because there's just too many that I can get into details about. We're just talking about surgery in general. And pretty much the definition for me around that is if you are going under general anesthesia. So again, this is not your very minor surgeries such as having your wisdom teeth out, or I went through IVF and so I had 2 egg retrieval procedures. Those, I do consider that surgery, but it's not general anesthesia. It's a different type of anesthesia, so the process is a little bit different. Your recovery is a little different. So some of these steps you can put onto those procedures, but not all of them. So this really is about any procedure where you are going under general anesthesia. all right, where you have to prepare for it, you have to recover from it, all of those kind of things. And to give you a little context, so like I said, I'm a physical therapist, so I will bring in things today about how to be an advocate for yourself, those kind of things. That's always really important to me. But honestly, I am just coming at this from someone who's had 6 major surgeries, who just had my 6th one 4 days ago, my 2nd one this year. And I'm coming at this just to tell you what to expect, because it's kind of my reality at this point. Like I've been through it enough. I don't want more, but you never know. You never know what curveballs life will throw at you. And I really do understand that a lot of people haven't been there, and it can be a scary thing. So like I said, this is just step by step what you can expect. Hopefully it will help a little bit if this is a part of your journey as well. And I feel a need to say that I really wouldn't expect anyone else after major surgery to be recording a podcast 4 days later. Okay, this is not normal. This is common for me. Okay, this is, if you have followed me for a while, you probably have been there, maybe from my hysterectomy, possibly from my mastectomy earlier this year. I process things outward sometimes. I have a lot that I process inwardly that I don't talk about, that I don't share, that I need to go on walks to figure out. And a lot of times that's the prior. Like I didn't talk about the surgery actually much at all prior to it. I just had to process it kind of on my own. I shared that it was happening because I have a public life on social media. And I always want to be transparent, at least about me and how it relates to kind of the business, because right, I'm filming workouts. And so I need to be transparent that, hey, I filmed a bunch this week because I won't be able to film for 6 weeks. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to show you my rehab. And so I tend to be transparent a little bit after the fact, and I process things verbally. And being a physical therapist, I am a medical person. Like I nerd out on the medical part. So I don't mind talking about that. That feels like a natural thing for me to do. But again, I did a lot of processing on the front end, and I really did not talk about this one much on the front end at all. I just needed to be in the quiet with myself, preparing for that, because surgeries do hold a lot of trauma for me. My medical past does hold a lot of trauma for me. So this is me personally. Right. This is also someone who I've been through a lot of surgeries. Like I said, I kind of know how to manage my body. I work from home. I've been resting this morning. My plan was to talk to you for about 20 to 30 minutes today. And that's just in between getting up from the couch, sitting at my desk. That's all I have to do is move from the couch to my desk and then back to the couch. I'm following all my restrictions, all of that, but please don't think, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be doing that and back to work. No. This is not me back to work, okay? This is me moving from the couch to my desk and just trying to use my mind a little bit because it makes me feel better. I'm using my mind a little bit. I'm going to try to go for a walk after this because walking is important to do. And then I'll be back on the couch. So I just felt a real need to say that. And then the final thing, just to give you a little context before we get into the exact steps and what to expect, I just want to tell you the surgeries I've been through. And again, it's just for context because I read somebody I was following the other day said, I just had my 12th surgery, and I thought, oh my gosh, like that's double the amount I have. I would love to know, not that it's my business, right? They don't have to share. But again, being a medical person, and I think going through it myself, I like to understand a little bit, like, what are you also going through? Let me sit in that with you. Like, what is in your past that you've had 12 surgeries for? Because this is what's in my past that I've had 6 for. And it's not a comparison. I think it really is you understand. Like, you get it. Like, you get that piece that a lot of people don't because they haven't had to experience it. And I don't wish it on anyone. But I will tell you what I've been through, just again, for a little bit of context. So my first major surgery was in 2005, and I had a thyroglossal duct cyst. It was a precancerous cyst in my throat. It looked like I had an Adam's apple all of a sudden overnight. So I had to have that and my tonsils removed, and I did have to stay in the hospital overnight. That was my first one. My next 2 surgeries were laparoscopic surgeries for my endometriosis. My next surgery was major hysterectomy and prolapse repair. So I had pelvic floor repair, hysterectomy. My next surgery was a bilateral mastectomy because of breast cancer diagnosis. And then this surgery a few days ago was what I call kind of a revision for the mastectomy. It was a fat grafting procedure that is really commonly done after mastectomy with reconstruction. So that was that. So those are mine. And then as a physical therapist, obviously I have walked with thousands of clients through orthopedic procedures, total knees, total hips, ACLs, rotator cuff repairs, cervical fusions, all of them. And again, the pre-op and what we're going to talk about, the pre-op and the surgical expectations that day themselves are pretty similar across the board. Okay, they're going to be, slightly different depending on the situation, but they're pretty similar across the board. So without further ado, let us jump in. Okay, so when you find out that you're going to have surgery, and again, this is just what to expect. I'm not even addressing the how do you decide if you need to have surgery. Go back and listen to my How to Prepare for Surgery podcast. This is assuming that you know you're having it. It has been scheduled. It is on the schedule. Okay, it is booked. You have a time. That is where we go from here. You are going to be scheduled for a pre-op appointment with your surgeon. Generally, this happens between 1 and 2 weeks prior. Sometimes they'll do it out to 3 weeks, but they will not do it more than that. So anywhere from, again, 1 to 2 weeks beforehand, sometimes out to 3, depending on how comfortable they are with it. But you have a pre-op and you go in and you will sign some documents, some liability, right? You sign some waivers, you sign some things, and you will see the surgeon, and you are given instructions, usually written instructions, and then also some instructions from the nurse. So this is where I want you to start asking questions. Okay, you need to know everything this day. The pre-op is actually very, very, very important because I am telling you, the morning of surgery is not the time to be asking things like, can I exercise afterwards? And what kind of things do I need to be wearing? You can't ask that the morning of surgery. It's too late. I mean, you can ask it, but you need to know ahead of time. You need to know before that. And after surgery, they will give you more instructions, and you are so darn groggy from the anesthesia, you will not process half of what they say. And we're going to get to that. So the pre-op is extremely important. It's where you are still in a place of being able to ask all your questions, get all the answers, and prepare. Okay, you are preparing yourself. So you want to know what are your restrictions afterwards, right? Movement and activity restrictions specifically. Like for my hysterectomy and prolapse repair, you can't lift more than 10 pounds for 10 weeks. Okay. With my mastectomy, you cannot lift your arms from your sides for the first 2 weeks. You cannot take a shower or a bath for 2 weeks. You can't submerge in water for 1 month. These are the restrictions I'm talking about. So movement restrictions, activity restrictions, and then just your activities of daily life restrictions, sleeping positions. Okay, mastectomy, and then now with the fat grafting, I can only sleep on my back. I cannot sleep on my side or my stomach. These are things you would think that they would tell you, and sometimes they do, but sometimes things just get lost in the speed of the appointment. So I want you asking all of these things. If it's a knee, say, am I going home with crutches? Am I going home with a walker? Am I allowed to put weight on my leg right away or not? If you're going home with bandages, when can I take these off? What do I do next? Those kind of things, okay? So you need to know all of that. You also need to know what your medications are going to be, and you want them called in so that you can pick them up before surgery. Again, after surgery is too late because you need your helper at home with you. You're not going to be driving, and a lot of the medications you have to start the day before surgery, okay? So many of them, they have you start the day before surgery. So they have to call in your medication, make sure they have your correct pharmacy, get all that in place, and have them in hand at least a few days before your surgery. So medications are really important. What clothing you may need to wear after. And again, if you have a total knee replacement, this might not matter as much, except I'm telling you, you're going to want really loose pants, and you might even want shorts, okay? Because you might I'll tell you right now as a physical therapist, if you have a total knee replacement, you're going to be in rehab almost immediately. And as a PT, I'm going to want you wearing shorts, okay? Really loose fitted shorts that you can get up over your knee, but I need access to that knee, right? So those kind of things, it seems simple, but you just don't realize if you even have what you need afterwards. For a mastectomy, zip up hoodies, you need zip up things, you need things to hold your drains. Or if you have shoulder surgery, you probably need zip up things too, or button up shirts, because you're not going to be able to get your arm in a position to get things overhead. For my hysterectomy, I couldn't wear jeans or any buttoned pants for like 4 to 6 weeks. So have loose, comfortable pants. This is something silly, but important after my mastectomy. So I wore leggings, as I do, right? I wore a comfy pair of leggings into surgery. I didn't bring an alternative pair of pants after. I woke up, I was so groggy. I couldn't do anything to help, and I was so sore. That was a hard surgery. And I remember my husband trying to get those leggings on me. Like, it took forever for us to get my leggings back on so I could leave the hospital with clothes on. So this time I was prepared. I was prepared with loose sweatpants, and I even showed him where they were in my bag. Loose sweatpants. So think ahead of time. And same with shoes, like have slip-on shoes that you're wearing to the hospital to wear back home, because you probably aren't going to be able to bend over and easily put your shoes on. Okay, depending on the procedure, that's just not going to be really comfortable. And I know you don't think about it ahead of time, but hopefully you're sitting there saying, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I brought a pair of Birkenstocks, even in the winter. That's what I brought, so I could just slide them on and back off. Okay, so clothing, have it prepared, have it ready, and ask the doctor too. Like, this procedure for me, I had to wear the bandages they had me wrapped in for 3 days, then I was allowed to take them off, and then I had to have compression garments. So I said that day in pre-op, do you have some links you could send me? And they did, and I ordered them so that I had them and could try them on before I had my surgery. Okay, those kind of things you want to ask and be ready for. Another thing to know in your pre-op, is there any fasting? Do you have any fasting instructions? Typically with regular surgery, they are going to have you stop eating solid food the night before. It just depends on the time of your procedure, but you're going to have to stop eating solid food like maybe midnight, okay, the night before. But with my abdominal surgeries, which I've had 3, I had to fast for 48 hours beforehand, only clear liquid, because it was in my abdomen and they needed to make sure, everything was out of my stomach and out of everything down there. So ask that, what are the instructions? And there's very clear instructions also for when you stop eating solid food, when you stop drinking water. Typically you have to stop all water, everything, even liquids, 4 hours before. So food a lot of times is 8 to 12 hours before, liquid is 4 hours before. And you can't even have a drop of water, okay? You can brush your teeth that morning and that's it. So keep that in mind. You need to stay hydrated in those days leading up to surgery. You have to stay hydrated. So drink everything you can until they tell you to stop. And then what else to know in pre-op? If you're staying overnight at the hospital, okay? And then how long surgery is. Like, that's where you're asking, how long am I going to be under anesthesia? How long is recovery? And they will give you a general idea of when you might be going home, which can always change, but it's nice to have that general idea. Okay, so that's in your pre-op. Those are the things I want you to ask. Those are the things that I want you to be prepared for. And then, one other thing, ask about stopping your vitamins, stopping alcohol, and also stopping your regular medication. Typically, they have rules around that too, where they'll have you stop all vitamins a week before. You have to stop all ibuprofen a week before because they're blood thinners. And some medication, but not all. Some of your medication, they're going to want you to keep going. So you just need to ask that, because they're not always great about being clear, especially if you're pre-op. Like, my pre-op this time was 5 days before surgery, which is a pretty close. They typically won't do that. It just worked out for scheduling. And I was comfortable with it because I'd had surgery before. But typically I think 5 days is too close to get all of that done. If you need to prepare things, I think 10 days is a pretty good time if you can. But ask about those things, when to stop vitamins, when to stop ibuprofen, when to stop your medicine, if you stop your medicine, when to stop alcohol, all of that. Okay, so that is your pre-op. All right, now we're at the day of surgery. They will tell you what time to be there to check in, and they will tell you exactly where to go. So make sure you have that. Like, I always have it written, ready to go. I know exactly where I'm going. And then you want to work out your rides. That's completely personal. on how you do it. You can have someone drop you, but for the most part, I recommend having someone you trust and love with you. Again, it depends on the situation, but you definitely have to have someone ready to pick you up afterwards. They will not let you go home in an Uber or a Lyft or by yourself. You have to have someone, and they will ask who it is, and they will ask for that person's phone number. So you check in, you sign a bunch of paperwork. You have to show your picture ID and your insurance card on check-in. You typically, again, will tell them who your ride is, who your emergency contact is, and what their phone number is. And sometimes they have really nice systems in place. Like this time around, they gave me, it was a code. It was a personal code attached to me and my name so that I could give it to my husband. And there was a number on it, a phone number, and he could call that number at any time and type in my personal code, and they would give him an update on where I was. Like, she's in pre-op, she's just gone under anesthesia, whatever it is. So that sometimes there's those kind of systems, which are really nice. But that's your check-in. You check in, they take you back to a room, okay? Take you back to a room. You will get changed. You take your clothes off. You typically have like some hospital wipes that they give you to wipe down things because you're doing a kind of clean. They still do a major clean on you once you're under anesthesia, obviously, but you're doing a pre-clean. You put on a gown, you put on cozy socks, and you lay down in a hospital bed in this little teeny room, and you're there for 2 hours. Okay, typically your check-in is 2 hours before. In that 2 hours, a lot happens. You'll have some downtime. So I usually have my phone or a Kindle or a book. I will tell you that I had one pre-op where I took my book or my phone to read on it, and it didn't work back there, right? I had no service back there. So be prepared for that. Just have a real book or something, but be prepared for possibly not having great service in the back of a hospital, especially if you're trying to talk to your loved ones or anything like that. Okay, so you're in a hospital bed, and for 2 hours, people are coming in and out. The nurses come in, they're taking your vitals, they're asking you over and over again, confirm your name, confirm your date of birth, confirm why you're here. They will insert an IV. They will start flushing the IV to make sure it works. The surgeon will come in at some point, depending on what they need to do and what the procedure is. You will at least talk to your surgeon, most likely. You will meet your anesthesiologist, one of the most important people in this whole procedure. You will meet them, talk to them about your situation, especially if you've been under anesthesia before and you know how you react. It's really important that they know. If you know you get nauseous, if you know you throw up after, if you know you get groggy, whatever it is, you will sign more paperwork. They will possibly put something into your IV to help you relax. That's case-by-case basis. And then at the allotted time, they will wheel you into the operating room. You will get onto the table. They will help you. Okay, all the tables are different, again, depending on the procedure you're having, but they help you get onto the table. It's cold in the operating room, just letting you know. You get onto the table, and you are there for only a couple minutes before they will put like an oxygen mask or something on you to breathe, or a cannula. And they say, okay, go ahead and take a couple breaths. And literally the next thing you know, you wake up. Like, that's how anesthesia works. You are under no time in my surgeries have I ever been in the operating room more than just a couple minutes before they put me under, which is great. Like, that's where the nerves typically will kick in, right? There's a lot of people there. They're moving instruments around. It's cold. They have their masks on, but they're lovely every time. Everyone has been so lovely and caring to me. They'll give you extra blankets if you're cold, so don't be afraid to ask. And then, you breathe in and you don't even know what's happening. I mean, they tell you, right? But you take 1 or 2 breaths, and anesthesia is not like going to sleep. When you're asleep, you have a vague awareness that you're asleep, right? You have a vague awareness that time has passed. Anesthesia is not like that. You close your eye. You think you're breathing, right? Okay, I'm going to breathe through this oxygen mask. And literally the next moment, you're kind of opening your eyes and it's over. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. And you're in recovery. So they have you in a recovery area. It is not your own room, typically, because it is a recovery area where nurses are keeping an eye on anyone. I mean, there's there's curtains, so it's private, but it's not your own room. It's literally a recovery area, and and someone's constantly checking on you. And I will tell you, like, it's not like you bing, open your eyes and you're awake. I mean, it can be an hour-long process of your eyes kind of opening. You're kind of aware of things, people talking, and you close your eyes again because you're tired. And then once they see you opening your eyes, they come over and say, tell me about your pain. They want to know your pain level right away. Tell them the truth. This is not the time to try to be a hero. You need medically to tell them the truth about your pain levels, whatever they are. Because the number one thing they need to do is make sure you're okay and to contain your pain. And honestly, at that point, I don't usually have a lot of pain. I'm uncomfortable, but I'm just confused. That's just me. I'm very groggy after anesthesia. I'm very groggy. And it will be more so the longer you're under. My mastectomy was 5 hours, and that was a tough recovery for me. I mean, just in and out for about an hour, confused and kind of groggy. This one was an hour and a half surgery. It was much easier. They'll bring you water or ice chips. They brought me applesauce right away this time. It was like the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. It was so delicious, this little container of applesauce. And you just start to feel a little bit human again. You start to have an awareness of your body. And that is where typically your person is not there waiting for you, okay? Because again, it's it's a recovery room where the nurses have to be able to get to you very quickly. They're checking on you constantly. There's other people. But after you're kind of waking up, they will have it written down, and they will call your person, whoever is there waiting for you, whoever is picking you up, like whoever your person is, they will bring them to you. Either, like sometimes they've brought them to me in recovery. Sometimes they'll wheel me back. What happened this time was they wheeled me back to the room that I started in. And they brought my husband there where we hung out for a little while. And their goal then at that point is either, again, you stay overnight, which I have for 2 of my procedures. I've had to stay overnight, so I end up back in a room, but it's a hospital room now that I'm sleeping in and I'm staying in. Or you hang out there till they make sure all your vitals are stable. If you've had a catheter, they will make sure that you have peed. And again, that's just the length of the procedure. Excuse me, I had one for my mastectomy. I did not have one for this. So they are at this point making sure you're stable, and they are explaining your discharge instructions to your person. Okay, whoever that person is, a friend, family member, whatever. You need someone there to pick you up, and you need someone there you trust because they are going to hear your discharge instructions. This is really important. These are not always explained in the pre-op. Like you'll ask and you think they are, but I'm telling you, things come up in discharge because it's the nurses giving the information, which can sometimes be more detailed than the surgeon's information. And you need someone there to listen. I don't remember a single thing that was told after my mastectomy. I was so groggy. I don't remember anything. Even though my husband's like, oh yeah, you were awake and nodding. Like, I do not remember, but I do on this one, but I still needed him there. So the discharge instructions are given to your person. And then your person will walk down with you and they will wheel you down in a wheelchair and then get you in the car and you're sent home. And then sometimes the surgeon will call you later in the day to check on you, but not always. And then you won't always see the surgeon in recovery either. Again, sometimes I have, and many times I haven't. It just depends on if they're off to another surgery, those kind of things. So if you have questions for your surgeon, you need to ask at the pre-op or before your surgery when you see them. Because typically you won't talk to your surgeon again until post-op, which happens about a week after. And again, that'll change according to the procedure itself. But my post-ops have usually been about a week after. And then make sure too that you have a way to reach them though. Like I got home from that procedure and I said, oh my gosh, I don't know this one thing. I mean, it's a major thing I needed to know. But I had the assistant's number and email. So I called her and emailed her and she got right back to me. So make sure you have a way to reach someone with questions, whether it be through online charting or calling or emailing or whatever it is, but make sure you have someone. And then again, post-op happens a week later and you will follow instructions as needed. And just a couple things I want to talk about what to expect after surgery. And we're talking right after. Mostly I want to talk about being sore and anesthesia. So just a couple things I like to point out because it surprises people. Your pain will spike and be worse at about the 2 to 3 day point after surgery. And this is because your anesthesia and any nerve blockers you had are wearing off. Don't be surprised if, yes, you feel awful the first 1 or 2 days, but you're like, wow, my pain isn't horrible. I'm actually able to get up more than I thought. Don't be surprised if it then kicks your butt the second to third day after. Again, if you have questions, if it seems severe, if you have any questions about infection, if you spike a fever, any of those things, you need to be calling your doctor. I'm just saying, if you suddenly are like, oh, this is really sore, don't be surprised. That's what's happening. Your anesthesia and your nerve blockers are wearing off, and it's a bummer, but it happens. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another is just don't be surprised at what anesthesia does. I tell everyone, like, you could just be put under anesthesia for 2 hours and not even cut open, like no procedure. You're just put under anesthesia for 2 hours and you come out of it. You're going to have recovery for a month because anesthesia is gnarly. I mean, thank goodness for it, but it is. I mean, a general rule I go by is that it takes a month. For every hour you're under anesthesia, it takes a month for your body to process it and for you to kind of get over the side effects. And that includes, you can be really groggy, headaches, dehydrated, emotional. Okay. There's a lot of tears and things that happen, fatigue, all of those things, brain fog. And I relate them all to the trauma, the absolute physical trauma. I'm just talking the physical intensity of surgery and anesthesia. So give yourself a lot of grace around that. Expect that your digestive system will be off. Constipation is very, very common, so be prepared with a stool softener. That's something I didn't mention earlier, but typically they'll recommend a stool softener. Have one on hand and ask your doctor, because many times they'll recommend you start taking that. Constipation is very common, being nauseous, those kind of things. So have easy to digest food, have electrolytes around. Your job after surgery is to heal. 100% full-time job is to heal after surgery. So you need to nourish your body. It's hard to sleep. Don't be surprised. Prop yourself up. Find positions that are as comfortable as possible. Prepare your family. Right? I have young kids. They've been through this a couple times with me. They know they just have to be gentle. And they're going to help out more. I'm like, you're going to have to make your lunches, those kind of things, and just be ready to lay around and watch movies. Walk typically, and again, depends on the procedure, but typically walking is recommended almost right away. It helps with blood clots, helps with circulation, helps with digestion and constipation. I have a walking pad that I got before my mastectomy that was really helpful because it was winter and it was icy out and I was not comfortable or safe walking outside. So my walking pad inside was really helpful for that. And I'll put the link for the one I use below as well. So those are some things you can kind of expect and prepare for a little bit after. And that takes us through. Pre-op to post-op. And it feels like a lot, but also you'll get through it. It's over before you know it. The days are really, really, really long. The days leading up to surgery can feel kind of long as you might be anxious or wondering about what's happening. The day of the surgery can feel long. The days after as you're recovering and you're tired can feel long, but you do get through it. You do. Each time I've gotten through it. And it just is one foot in front of the other, one step after another. You get back your strength, you get back your energy, you get that back. And yeah, you have to work for it a little bit, but you also just have to really work with the process and be patient, and you will get there. So I wish you the very, very best. I'm going to go lay down and take a little nappy, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today on Meet Your Body. If you have a moment, please consider rating and reviewing this podcast as it helps us tremendously. For more resources and workouts, you can visit my website, jessicavallantpilates.com, or find me on YouTube or Instagram at Jessica Vallant Pilates.